Well, back in my day, here we were, picking out pixels one at a time on a PC the size of a school bus. You don't know pain until you've been picking out pixels with a half kilobyte of RAM. I tell you what, the young bucks don't even know. You know, we really do live in the golden age of digital art. We have more options available now as digital artists than at any time in history. Okay, if you've been thinking about getting into digital art, hopefully this video will help you get rid of some of that intimidation factor and maybe give you a direction, give you a path on how to get started as a digital artist without going crazy like this. This is craziness. See this behemoth of a 24-inch? This thing's 10 years old. 12 years old. I bought it in 2013. Wow, this thing's a dinosaur. I didn't realize it was a dinosaur until I started playing with it again on my new Mac, and it's like, oh, this thing's old. Time to replace it. But if you're an aspiring digital artist, whether you're an experienced artist in traditional media or not, or you're new to art in general, the point of this video is to help kind of eliminate some of that intimidation factor for you. And my number one piece of advice is KISS. Keep it simple, Studley. So let's talk about getting into digital art from the start in this video. Okay, the lowest cost of entry for getting into digital art is going to almost assuredly be a drawing tablet like this. You can find these things just about anywhere, and they're not super expensive to get into to begin with for just a simple setup, and you don't really actually need anything crazy like a big old iPad Pro 13 or 12 or whatever they're on now with, you know, this massive set of RAM and massive memory bank. You also don't need to go to the top end of like the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10s and stuff like that. I mean, you're talking about $1,000 plus on average for these type of devices just to get into it. You don't actually need all of that though. These have a lower cost of entry, I think, overall in getting into digital art, because you really just need the device and the pen, like the Apple Pencil or any of the number of various Android tablets out there that have a pen included with them. So for basically less than $500, you've got yourself an entire digital art studio that will get you started in the basics and learning digital art programs, and you have a vast array of digital art programs available for each tablet or operating systems type. So that would be my first suggestion, is if you're just getting into this, even if you have a computer at home but you don't want to get set up on a computer fully with the programs and software like Photoshop. Photoshop can be really expensive, or you have to, you know, be willing to get in on the subscription plan for Photoshop, and it can be kind of overwhelming. So breaking it down into a tablet with tablet style programs that are designed, apps that are specifically designed for tablets, is really going to simplify your life in learning the basics of digital art and working and navigating your way through the digital art space. When it comes to tablets, here are the options. You have your Android series of tablets, which are basically like your Samsungs and stuff like that. And some of the more popular art programs you can find on those, like Infinite Painter, which would be my top suggestion. So for Android tablets, Infinite Painter would be my top suggestion because it's cross-platform compatible with iPad. You can actually use it on both iPad and Android, and it works really great on both of them. I've used this program. It's a lot of fun to play with. It has a lot of capability. May not be the most popular or well known out there, but it really works really well. You have others like Krita, Medibang Paint, and Ibis Paint X, and Clip Studio Paint. Now, Clip Studio Paint is my favorite drawing program right now currently that I'm using, and you can use it on all of these devices that I'm going to talk about. So it's really great for that, but it's a little bit more complex than you might want to get into at the beginning. So let's just break it down. Your various Android tablets, you're going to be getting into them for about $300 to $400 for a basic Android tablet with decent RAM and decent memory. Nothing crazy, nothing, you don't need all this wild stuff. And then you get your pencil. So $300 to $400, maybe $500, and you're into a tablet that can do all your digital art. And on top of that, you've got your programs, your apps, you're going to be paying about 10, 12, maybe 20 bucks for. So it's not a huge investment right up front. If you're looking for something a little bit more streamlined directly for digital artists, XP Pen and Huion have both also put out their own Android style tablets that are digital drawing devices specifically for mobile artists. Huion has the Canvas Slate 10, which you get into for about $250 to begin with, and XP Pen has the Magic Drawing Pad, which you're going to get into for about $500 on the start. Of the two of them, I would probably lean more towards the XP Pen drawing pad. It seems to have a little bit more capability than the Huion does, but I've not played with either one of them, so I can't give you an exact, you know, experiential breakdown of them both. So maybe something we'll do in a later video. If you're looking to get into the iPad, which is kind of, I think, an industry standard for the mobile digital artist, the basic iPad is only about 350 bucks. And then you have your iPad Airs and stuff, they start about 500. So that's really not a huge cost of entry to get started right away. For the iPad, Procreate is definitely the top app being used at this time. Art Studio Pro, my personal favorite, is another one I would recommend from the beginning. And of course, you can also use Infinite Painter on the iPad just the same as you can on the Android. So if you're looking for a program, say you have multiple operating systems you're working within, or tablet types you have access to, and you're looking for a program you can kind of work cross-compatible with both, Infinite Painter is one of those programs. Contrasting this with getting into digital art on a PC or a desktop or an iMac or whatever, you're going to have to factor in the cost of not only the computer, and you don't need a massive computer to do this, 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of of operating RAM. This thing right here has 1 gigabyte of RAM, and that's what I started on my digital art journey. 1 gigabyte of RAM. It's a little outdated, but it's still doable. The problem though with the desktop setups is they're really more expensive to get into from the beginning, because you have to factor in the cost of your computer and the cost of a drawing tablet, something like an Intuos from Wacom, the input tablets, where you're not drawing on the screen, you're drawing on a pad looking up at your screen. It takes a little work to get used to it, and we'll go over that in a further video, but it is doable and you can learn the muscle memory and get it down. But those tablets can cost anywhere to $300 or $400 themselves right off the bat. If you're looking at the kind of professional grade one, you can get the less expensive ones from like Huion and stuff like that, and they work great as far as I understand. I don't have a whole lot of direct experience with them outside of Wacom Intuos. So that's one of the considerations if you're looking at PC or desktop iMac versus a mobile drawing tablet. If you already have a desktop computer at home or a laptop or something like that, which is a really great way to do a mobile art studios with a laptop and a tablet, but if you already have that and you're looking to just jump right into it on that, then my top suggestion would be use what you have. Get yourself an Intuos or a Huion or something along those lines for a drawing tablet input, stylus, and all that good stuff. And then go with something like Clip Studio Paint to begin with. It is a bigger program. It is not as complex as Photoshop, but it's pretty close, and it can look a little intimidating, and it has a lot of the capabilities. It has all the professional art capabilities you could want. However, it is simpler to start with and is simpler to learn the basics in digital art when you're just getting started. Now, where do you actually start for the basics? When you get your program and you get your, you pick out which avenue you're going to take for your digital art platform and your program that you're going to try, how do you actually get started? I'm going to go ahead and give an example of the foundation I think would be a great start for just about anyone. It's how I'm going to start teaching my kids digital art and how we've already kind of started playing around with, and that is on an iPad with either Procreate or Art Studio Pro. So let's jump into the canvas and check these out. Okay, right off the start, I'm going to open up Procreate. When you look in Procreate and you get started here, it's a very simple layout. You just need to hit this plus button at the top right to create a new document. I'm just going to go ahead and create an A4 size document. When the document opens, you've got your layers palette up in the top right. You can add or delete layers by swiping. You have your brushes, which is a really simple breakdown of the brushes in Procreate. Let's pick a random sketching brush. Say the 6B pencil, one of my favorites. If you double tap on it, it's going to pull up a brush library to where you can manipulate the structure of the brush. But let's not do that. We got a layer that we can draw on here. We got our background, okay, it's white. I'm going to leave it set for that for now. And then we have a basic layer we're going to draw on. To the top right there, you pick your color picker up. You hit that little icon at the top right, that's your color picker, and you just pick out a basic color. I'm going to go with a blue because I like sketching in blue. And at the top you have really simple bars and a really simple breakdown of your tools, which I will get into in a further detailed video in the future on how to actually use this program. But this is just an introduction for digital artists. This is the basics of the workspace you need. You need a brush that you can draw with. You need your eraser, which is also found at the top right. And the eraser, if you click it again, you'll get the drop down of the different types of eraser you can use. Alright, I like to work with a kind of medium hard brush eraser. Over on the left here, you have your size sliders, if you look at that, and you have your opacity sliders on the left. So this is as simple as digital art gets right here. It is really simple. You have, if you look at the top left of your screen there, you'll see some icons for manipulating your actions, so what you can do with the canvas, sharing the videos, sharing the files, exporting files, importing stuff, that kind of thing. You have your adjustments layers, which is, you know, hue, saturation, balance curves, gradient map, all those good things. Fantastic for that. Procreate is really the top of the pile when it comes to simplicity and breaking it down to the basics. Next to that, you have your freehand selection tools. You can actually make selections on your canvas to move things around, isolate things, manipulate things, and then you have your and then you can actually move around the item that you've selected, and then again click your brush to go back to painting. Simple, clean, effective. That's the basics of creating a file and working in layers. In Procreate, it doesn't get any simpler. My personal favorite is Art Studio, so I'm going to go ahead and move into that. And you see I got this image already up here. It's similar to Procreate in that it's simplified and broken down into the simple elements, but there's a lot more of them. There's more capabilities for it. So it more emulates what you might actually see on the desktop. So let's create a new document there. New empty, real simple. I'm just going to, whatever basically is on there, we're going to create that. You have, again, your layers palette to the right there. You have your color picker, you have your brush library, and then you have various other tools and stuff. You can actually set a toolbar up at the top of Art Studio Pro, which I really, really like. You have both your wet brushes and your dry brushes, your smudging tools and your eraser, all pretty much right there at the front where you could want them. So let's grab an eraser, see what we got set up. I've got a medium, hard, or hard dynamic opacity round. Again, your size and opacity sliders are on the right, and erasing, and away you go. The beautiful thing about digital art programs on tablets, on mobile devices too, is that you can use finger touch to manipulate and do parts and move the canvas around and that kind of thing. You can actually, you know, shrink and zoom and all that good stuff, twist your canvas and all that, which I really, really love. It gives you the ability as an artist to work really tactilely. And if you look further at the top of the bar on Art Studio, let's look into the menus here. You got your file management, you got editing, image editing, you can make your adjustment layers and stuff like that there. So you have a lot of the same capabilities, maybe a few more than Procreate, and not quite as much as Photoshop, so it's not as overwhelming. So if you're looking to get into digital art, just the beginning, this is a foundational video, those would be my top suggestions. Grab yourself a tablet. If you don't already have a computer and you're not wanting to invest in a drawing tablet, you know, an Intuos type of thing, and drawing software for your desktop or your laptop, then I'd get yourself a tablet, because most everybody already has one. So you can take your tablet, get yourself a pencil for it, the pencil, they call it the Apple Pencil, and with the Android it's called a stylus, basically. Get yourself that compatible with your device and find one of these programs and start playing around with them. My top suggestions again for the iPad would be Procreate, Art Studio Pro, or Infinite Painter. And if you're really a glutton for punishment, Clip Studio Paint. That one's a lot of fun. If you're on an Android tablet, I would go with probably Infinite Painter predominantly. I don't have a lot of experience with some of the others that are out there, so I can't really speak to them. I've worked mostly, so far as digital art goes, mobile digital art on a tablet. I've worked with the iPad more than anything, so that's my most familiar footprint in workspace. But I do know Infinite Painter, and I would recommend that program to anyone, whatever device you're on. You can always look into Clip Studio Paint. That's, I mean, I'm not trying to beat the drum, but it works really, really well. It's a great program for that. You can do Clip Studio Paint on everything. Just takes a little bit more patience and practice to learn it from the beginning. All right, well, I hope you young bucks learned something today. I don't know. So thank you for joining me again today. I hope that helped clear up some of the muddy water for you, or at least didn't make it any more muddier. But I say keep it simple, steadily. When you're trying to get into digital art for the first time, pick a simple platform you're familiar with, pick a simple program. You know, there's more than the list I have provided, but I wouldn't get too caught up in researching and going too far with trying to find the absolute perfect program right off the bat. Get yourself a functional device, get a program that works well on it and the industry has responded well to, and you'll know that by other artists and their suggestions, and then just start playing around with it. Learn the tools, learn the layers, learn the brushes, learn the erasers, learn the selection tools, and learn the manipulative tools and stuff like that. So thank you for joining me again. You'll have a blessed day, and get out there and art.